What is going on, guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today we have a huge video for you. We are doing the best cross-training shoes for a variety of performance categories. So I've reviewed countless models, and I think we're pretty much through like the major models for release in 2021. So I wanted to put together this video and talk about all of my top cross-training shoe picks for a bunch of different categories. So if you are looking for anything specific, feel free to look in the description below. I have time-stamped everything, so jump around, find the category that matches your needs best, and then that way you don't have to waste time watching a full video and you can just get the information you need. But that all being said, let's dive in to our first product category, which is the best cross-training shoes for CrossFit. So when talking about the best cross-training shoes for CrossFit, I'm gonna be honest, technically all of the shoes up here could technically work for CrossFit. However, when we look at CrossFit and all the different types of activities that are included in this style of training, we have to remember that there's always gonna be an ebb and flow on things like durability, stability, and versatility that you need based on the context of where you are in your training journey and also what you want most out of your shoe. So when looking at the best shoes for CrossFit up here, I have my top 3 picks. I'm considering how versatile are they? How stable are they? Can they handle heavy loads? Are they fairly durable across the board? All 3 of these and the blend of all 3 of these and being a high performer in all of those are what helped me make my pick for these top 3 models. So my top model for CrossFit in 2021 is the Nike Metcon 6. Now, we did have the Metcon 7 release, and that has been a stellar shoe for CrossFit too, and that is not to say that that model is bad for CrossFit. However, when we talk about the 6, I think that it has a level of durability that is pretty unmatched. These shoes last a while, plus they come with that Hyperlift insert, so it does give you a little bit more on the versatility edge when it comes to making this almost like a suede weightlifting shoe with a slightly higher heel. And the overall stability in this model is great across the board. So if you are somebody who is super worried about durability and stability, it's hard to front the Nike Metcon 6. Plus, with the Metcon 7's release, we are seeing a slight decrease in price on this model in various colorways. So if you are interested in getting the Nike Metcon 6, now would be a really good time to do so. My second pick is the Reebok Nano 10. So following suit on not rocking the latest, greatest models from both Nike and Reebok as my best picks for CrossFit, we have the Reebok Nano 10 as my number 2 spot up here. So this model I think is very similar to the Metcon 6 in regard to how much stability and versatility it provides. It's not gonna be your best pick for things like running. However, for shorter like 400-meter distances, for heavy lifting, for being fairly durable across the board for things like rope climbs, toe dragging movements, etc., it's hard to beat the Reebok Nano 10. Plus, the overall last and forefoot in this model is slightly wider than the Metcon 6, so it could be a better option for those who need a little bit more room in the toe box for their model. Now, when it comes to the price of the Nano 10, I think that is one of the biggest players here, and a lot of the models are marked down right now by like 40% on Reebok's site. So if you are looking for a really dynamic CrossFit shoe, it's really tough to beat the Reebok Nano 10 for its price right now. Now, my third pick is the Noble Trainer. Now, this is a pretty controversial one, and I know we're gonna have some folks who are very for Noble and then folks who are very against Noble. Personally, the reason I included the Noble Trainer up here is because it is fairly consistent. I didn't include the Metcon 7 and the Nano 11 for a reason. I don't think they're super niche for CrossFit. They can definitely tackle the job and they're definitely decent across the board. However, when we dive into the true realm of specificity for the sport of CrossFit, I think these slightly older models are a little bit better, and the Noble Trainer is consistent. You get a 4mm drop, you have the midsole that can support a variety of loads, and the overall upper in the Noble Trainer is fairly durable. So the super fabric does a pretty good job at resisting abrasion and friction and breaking down very fast. So that is why I included the Noble up here as my number 3 pick. It's tried and true, it's fairly consistent. Granted, I do wish they would update the model here and there, but if you're looking for consistency, the Noble is a fairly good bet. Plus, the overall last is a little bit wider than the Metcon 6, so you do get a little bit more room in the toe box as well with the Noble Trainer. My next product category is which is the best cross-training shoe for more general workouts. So this is the type of lifter that goes to the gym a few times a week. They might do a mile run on the treadmill to finish off their workout or as a warm-up. They'll get in some recreational lifting. They might throw in some HIIT. So it's a lifter that kind of likes to tackle a little bit of everything in their normal week of training, but they're not super specific in any one realm. So up here as my top pick, I have the Nike Metcon 7. I think as a shoe that's decent for tackling heavier lifting, but also being responsive enough to tackle shorter runs, HIIT training, this is a really good model. The Nike React Foam midsole up here in the forefoot is really maneuverable. You get a lot of responsiveness out of this model. Plus the overall durability is pretty decent across the board. And if you plan on lifting heavy in the shoe, you can do so. I've deadlifted over 500 in these and it was fine across the board. So for most folks, when it comes to their heavier static strength work, this model should be plenty stable enough for their needs. My second pick is the Under Armour Tri-Base Rain 3. So I wanted to include this model up here because there's a lot of contrast in the overall heel to toe drop of the shoe and how it fits and how it pretty much functions as an overall piece of footwear. So the heel to toe drop in this model is 2 millimeters, so it is a slightly lower drop than most other cross trainers. And the overall fit is very slim and athletic. It has a booty construction here and it feels like a sock on the foot. So if you are somebody who loves that more like minimalist feeling on the foot with their cross training shoes, then the Tri-Base Rain 3 is a really good bet. Plus the overall upper is fairly durable, so you're not gonna worry about breakdown in this model too much, and you're getting a lot of responsiveness up here in the toe with that Micro G foam midsole. My third pick is the GoRuck Ballistic Trainer. Now, this model is gonna be definitely a bit more friendly for the more static strength work out there. We have a slightly higher heel to toe drop with an 8 millimeter drop in this model. So if you do like having a slightly higher heel position in your recreational training, this is a really good model for tackling that. Plus, the dual textured midsole is plenty stable for heavy lifting. And overall, like the forefoot isn't the most responsive, but it does a decent job. And in the shoe, you get 2 different insoles, so you can have like more anatomically fit insole that it comes with. So you have this insole that you can see has a little bit more support through it, or you can rock the more flat insoles there. So if you do like having a slightly flatter foot position when it comes to the overall insole in your shoe, you can put these in and you'll have a nice little range of variety with how you want this shoe to fit in regard to your lifting. So if you are a more recreational gym goer and you bias a majority of your training on a weekly basis to more static strength work, I think the GoRuck Ballistic Trainer would be worth investigating. Now, as a reminder, I do think most of the models up here will work for just recreational training. So if you don't like these 3 and you have questions on other models, feel free to hit me in the comments below and I could direct you per how you actually train in the context of your needs. But now let's dive into our next product category. Our next category is which is the best cross training shoe for the men. Now, truthfully, what I'm looking for when I think about what men are gonna want in a cross training shoe is basically a last that works with the anatomy of a guy's foot. And these are typically shoes that offer a little bit more stability and durability, especially based on all the comments I get on my training shoe videos, because those are 2 elements that guys typically ask about with this style of footwear. So my top pick is the Reebok Nano 10. So we talked about this in the CrossFit section, but overall, I think this model offers a nice blend of versatility and stability for a variety of lifting settings. Plus, we do have a 4 millimeter heel to toe drop, so it does sit a little bit lower than other models out there. And if you're super worried about durability of your training shoe, this model should last you quite some time, especially if you only limit this shoe's wear for your training sessions. I think the overall width and the last of this model is also a really good pick for men. Plus, when we talk about the discounts in the shoe, it is tough to beat paying like $75 USD for a Reebok Nano 10, especially if it lasts you a while and meets all your needs and criteria pretty dang well in the gym. My second pick is the Nike Metcon 6. So this pick is for the guys out there who have slightly more neutral / narrow foot anatomy, and they are primarily thinking about stability when looking at their shoes. So with this model, I think it is one of the better cross training shoes for lifting. And the reasoning being is like without the actual hyperlift insert, adding another 8 millimeters to the heel to toe drop here, we have a very stable shoe. The overall versatility that you get in the Metcon 6 comes from the insole here. So this has a split texture. We have a little bit more compressive foam up here in the forefoot versus a little bit firmer foam back here in the heel. And then we have this additional insert. So if you are worried about having a shoe that can stand up to your heaviest lifts, the Metcon 6 is a really good pick. And if you want to save a little bit of money and not necessarily sink a ton of money into weightlifting shoes, you can use this insert and turn these almost into like a suede weightlifting shoe. With the hyperlift, the heel to toe drop in this model will be 12 millimeters versus like the traditional 20 in a weightlifting shoe. However, again, if you're on the market to save a little bit of money and you don't want to have a ton of pairs of shoes, but still tackle a bunch of different lifting activities and put your foot into a more plantar flex position to feed better into dorsiflexion, which I've talked to in other videos. I'm not going to go into a rant right now on. This is a good pick for you. My third pick is the Innovate F-Lite G300. So when we're talking about stability and durability, I think where this shoe excels, especially for the more recreational minded lifter, is with durability. We have a TPU wrap over here in the midfoot. This has graphene construction throughout. And overall, I think if you're training outdoors or indoors, this shoe should be pretty good across the board. This shoe has a 6 millimeter drop, and the midfoot here actually has a little bit more of like a tapered construction to it. So you do get a little bit of support here on the medial side. So if you are a guy that trains in a little bit more of a versatile manner and you're super worried about durability, the Innovate F-Lite G300 is a really good pick for your needs. Our next product category is which cross-training shoe is best for the ladies. So all these shoes up here are picked because number one, my girlfriend has given me feedback, or two, through feedback from either comments on my other review videos or through interactions I've had with folks who have asked about the models and then gotten them, and then I've asked and followed up, hey, how did you like those shoes? So my first pick for the ladies is the Nike Metcon 7. My girlfriend actually recently bought her first pair of cross-training shoes, which was the Metcon 7, and she's been really enjoying them. And I think for the vast majority of folks out there who want stability, versatility, and a shoe that can kind of tackle all these different things, the Nike Metcon 7 is a really good bet. You can wear this to classes, you can train heavy, you can do CrossFit workouts, you can pretty much do everything in this shoe, and it stands up to the task pretty dang well. Plus, the overall durability of the shoe is pretty on point, and there are a lot of cool and unique features on this shoe that make it really good for very specific activities. My second pick is the Innovate F-Lite 235 V3. So this model is awesome for two main reasons. Number one, the dynamic fascia band. The overall feeling of the shoe is like a very natural feeling. It almost feels like you're walking barefoot. I mean, granted, obviously you have material separating your foot from the ground. It's not a true barefoot shoe, but it gives you a lot of ground feedback through this dynamic fascia band that you can see wraps in a similar manner as the fascia on the foot. The second reason why I love this shoe is just the overall lightweight nature of it and how breathable it is. This shoe is fantastic for tackling HIIT workouts, shorter runs, outdoor sessions, heavier lifting. It can pretty much tackle it all. And I think if you like having a more natural feeling shoe and a shoe that fits a bit more athletic in nature, the Innovate F-Lite 235 V3 is a really good option. My third pick is the Nike React Metcon Turbo. So this shoe is fantastic because it has that disassociated forefoot and heel construction. So it gives you a lot of maneuverability up here in the forefoot. And we have that React foam here on the insole that gives it a nice level of responsiveness. Plus, with the overall construction of this shoe's outsole, we get a lot of stability out of this model. So if you are somebody who wants a little bit of everything with your shoe and you like a more athletic fitting shoe, because this shoe does have a low profile boot design and the overall upper construction is pretty lightweight, this is a really good pick for you. Plus, I think if you are somebody who likes to dabble in a bunch of different styles of training, the React Metcon Turbo does a really good job at tackling those things. The only area where the shoe really falls short is with rope climbs. However, if that doesn't really sound like something you're gonna be doing on a regular basis, then the React Metcon Turbo is a really good pick for the person that wants a more athletic fitting shoe and a lot of maneuverability in the forefoot of their model. Our next category is which cross-training shoes are best for those folks who have flatter feet. So I'm gonna be honest with you, cross-training shoes can be a little bit tough at times to find really good fitting models for more flatter footed individuals. Whether you have your own custom inserts or if you need a bit more midfoot support, it can be a little bit tough. So these three models up here, I think, are decent options out of all the picks up here for flatter footed individuals. My first pick goes to the Reebok Nano X1. The reasoning being is that I do think this shoe offers a little bit more medial foot support than the Reebok Nano 10, 9, 8, etc. because it does have a fully reworked last year. We have that energy foam midsole throughout, and with this medial construction here with that TPU wrap, we get a little bit more support. Plus, its overall last construction tends to do pretty well for folks with flatter feet. So if you are looking for a good versatile option, the Reebok Nano X1 is a good pick. This is the Reebok Nano X1 Adventure. It is my favorite iteration of the 11s so far. So if you are interested in looking into the Reebok Nano X1 or 11, whatever you want to call it, the Adventure is one of my favorite picks, followed by the Grit. My second pick up here is the Noble Trainer. And the reason why I like this for flatter footed folks is because its last is a little bit wider. Plus the insole, when you take it out, it offers a pretty consistent build throughout. So if you have your own custom inserts with a little bit more midfoot support for your needs, this shoe I think fits most inserts pretty dang well, just due to like the sheer width of it and how its overall construction and feel line up with most inserts. So once again, if you are somebody who has a flatter foot who likes putting their own inserts into a shoe, this is a really good pick. Plus it's gonna offer you a pretty good level of stability if you plan to lift heavy in them. My third pick up here is the GoRuck Ballistic Trainers, because we get a little bit more midfoot support in this model. Plus, with those flatter insoles, you can pick which insole you want to use, whether it's the more anatomical insole or the flatter insole, or if you have your own insert, you could put that in as well. And I think this shoe is going to offer you more midfoot support than other models, and with the higher heel to toe drop and the overall construction of the shoe, it's a pretty good model for lifting and slightly more versatile training. Our next product category is which cross-training shoe is best for things like jump rope, HIIT, or any style of activity where we're gonna be on the forefoot a lot, doing a lot of bounding style exercises. So my first pick is the Under Armour Hover Rise 3. The Hover Rise 2 was a fairly consistent model and honestly, I think a slept on training shoe. The Hover Rise 3 has a slight level up with its overall construction, and I think if you're somebody who's taking HIIT classes or if you jump rope a lot and you want a very responsive forefoot, the Hover Rise 3 is a really good bet. This shoe features Under Armour's Hover midsole throughout, so you're gonna have a lot of responsiveness from that. We have that tri-base outsole tech here, and the overall upper in the shoe is breathable, and I think it's a fairly comfortable model with its overall booty construction. My second pick is the Reebok Nano Flex TR. This is kind of a no frills, more budget conscious nano model, and the overall forefoot construction is why I think it's a hit for more HIIT style training and jump rope. With this extended outsole layer that wraps up, we get a lot of durability at the toe, and the overall midsole construction in this shoe is a bit more responsive and versatile compared to something like the Reebok Nano 10. So if you are looking for a budget-friendly option for tackling HIIT classes and jump rope, the Nano Flex TR is a very good option. My third pick is the Nike React Metcon Turbo. We've talked about this model a little bit already in this roundup, but two reasons why I like this shoe for this style of training include number one, we have that React foam insole here. So if you are somebody who loves that React foam in Nike models, you're gonna get a little taste of the versatility of this style of foam and tech in this shoe when doing things like jump rope and HIIT. The second reason why I like this shoe a lot for HIIT training and activities where you're gonna be on the forefoot a lot is the disassociated outsole construction. So with this like plastic TPU layer here in the midfoot, we get a lot of maneuverability up here in the toe box. So if you are somebody who is constantly on their toes and you like a more athletic fitting shoe, it is tough to beat the Nike React Metcon Turbo. But now let's dive into our next product category. All right, now let's chat on best cross training shoes for running. Now, do note, when we talk about running and cross-training shoes, generally most cross-training shoes are not going to be your best bet for mid-range and long-range runs. So all the shoes up here are for that type of lifter that likes to still lift in their shoes, but does run a little bit more on a weekly basis with their shoes, and they want something that can kind of tackle all of these things. So they're not gonna be super niche in running, but they can work for the activity and they're not gonna beat you up or leave you super uncomfortable. My top pick is the On Cloud X cross-training shoe. It is really, really tough to beat this model when you bias your training more with running and you don't plan to lift super heavy. This model's outsole and midsole are certainly not the most stable, so I wouldn't train anything more than 225 pounds in this model, but for folks who are doing shorter and mid-range runs, this model actually works really well. And with the overall Cloud Tech midsole, you get a lot of responsiveness and a lot of pop with the shoe. And actually, this is one of my go-tos for runs right now because it is so lightweight and it form fits the foot really well on top of being very breathable. My second pick is the Reebok Nano 11 Adventure. So I include this model up here for one specific reason, and that is it's designed for tackling more outdoor training. So if you are somebody who likes to wear cross-training shoes for shorter runs outdoors on a regular basis, it's really tough to beat the Reebok Nano 11 Adventure. It has a reworked upper construction, which is fairly durable. You can literally see all the dust still on mine from my trail runs. We have a thicker lug pattern on the outsole to provide you some grip on things like gravel and dirt, etc. And if you plan to do like 1 to 3 miles with trail runs, this model will work pretty dang well. Plus the overall Float Ride Energy Foam midsole is a pretty good option for folks who do want to have more of just like a recreational shoe for some outdoor casual training and also lifting in the gym. My third pick is the Nike Metcon 7. And I know this is a little bit controversial, but the reason I included this is we have a model up here already for tackling more like dedicated running bouts for cross-training athletes. We have a model up here for tackling more outdoor training. This model I think is gonna be your best bet for folks who like to run on a regular basis with shorter distances in their workouts, but also like to train heavy. So if you are that person who likes to warm up with, let's say, like a half-mile run, or you like to cool down with something like 800 meters or a mile after your workouts, this is a good model for tackling that. The Nike React Foam midsole up here in the forefoot gives you a nice level of responsiveness. Now I will say, if you do plan on doing shorter runs in your Nike Metcon 7, make sure you're adapting a forefoot or midfoot strike. The heel can be a little bit uncomfortable if you're a heel striker, so be conscious of that. But I do think this model can tackle shorter runs much better than prior Metcon models. So again, if you're that lifter that likes to train heavy but also likes to run shorter distances on a regular basis, the Metcon 7 is a really good bet for you. All right guys, that wraps up my roundup for the best cross-training shoes in 2021. I think it has been a dynamite year for the evolution of cross-training shoes, and there are a lot of great models out there. Truthfully, all these models could technically ebb and flow and shift into the product categories that I had up here, so Do not feel like you're boxed into my top 3 picks. And if you have any questions on additional models, or if you don't like my 3 picks and you want something else, hit me in the comments below and I'll gladly direct you towards, I think, models that would fit your needs best based on the context of your training. So as always, guys, if you have any questions, hit me down below. And if you haven't already done it yet, drop a like on the video, drop subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.